What's up, everybody? It's your favorite Lion King's favorite nerd, and today we are looking at the Planet X Victory Leo, or as they call him, Nemeios, perhaps? I'm not entirely sure on that, I'm going to be honest with you. This is on loan to me from Daniel R. He was kind enough to send the Star Saber along with it. I'm not sure if I'm going to put that in this video or split them up into two videos. My instinct says split them up into two, but it's almost like it might be easier to just go ahead and do both. So I'm not sure. Depending on how I've rolled this thing out, you probably know more than I do at this point. So let's go ahead and get started, but we start with accessories. So he comes with a set of wings, obviously. They're nice enough. The elements here separate so that you can kind of have them filleted out, which is nice. This actually has a metallic flecked, I think it's just the plastic, but it could be paint. Either way, it looks good. Now he has a backpack here that plugs in. You take that off and plug in your wings. Wing 1 and wing 2. And then you just insert that back on, connecting the 4 pegs, and he's good to go. You have these 2 blasters with these bits that sit on top. They also do something else, which we'll get to here in a bit. But we do have nice paint, red paint on both of those kind of knuckles there, so to speak. And then some red accents with different plastics as well. 2 pegs here that correspond also on the backpack. And once they're in, they're actually, the pegs themselves are on their own armatures where you can articulate them. As for the wings, you can flap them as well. So all of that works. He comes with his 2 weapons here, like miniguns or Gatling guns. I really don't know the difference between the two, to be honest with you. But they have red paint here on them. Other than that, red plastic accents. 2 pegs, which you can use to connect to the hips, and then rotate them on the hinges however you see fit. You know? He has this monstrosity here. Lots going on. And we have a couple of different options which we'll run through, but the main one for the figure of Leo Victory is utilizing this female here and this male here. It pegs into the shoulder and his hand is meant to hold it, but I can't really, it seems like it's, I guess if you don't peg it in all the way, it seems like this part of the gun should sit in that cavity of the forearm, but then it misaligns the peg on the shoulder. I don't know if I have something wrong there, but like that all works, but then it's not aligned back here. So yeah, I'm not sure what's going on there. Like that's it aligned. You know, if you can go out to the side, insert it into the peg, but then as you go to turn it, it's like it doesn't line up quite right. You know? I don't know. The large rifle can also peg in to this plate here. So I guess theoretically he could store it also in robot mode in that same place. But that's how it's intended, I believe, for Lion mode. Utilizing the same connection point, you can use it in alt mode as well. Obviously the jet mode. You also get a bag of extra bits. There's an extra Star Saber head and some screw covers, as well as it looks like some replacement joints. I'm not sure if he's already replaced these or not. I'm not sure what his plans are, but you get them. You also get my favorite third-party accessory in the world, which is a little baby screwdriver. It's actually not quite as little as I prefer, but it probably does a better job. But you get all of that as well. And let's take a look at the figure. We'll start in close on the head sculpt for Dennis. Head sculpt looks good. I think that what lacks here are that the eyes are a little too big and the lips lack a little bit of definition. But the helmet, which is the lion's head, I think saves a bit of it. I also think that the head sits a little too forward on the body and a little too deep. Now you can pull this up a bit and that'll give you some range, but I guess it's fixable. Do you know what I mean? The paint looks good. We have a ball peg for a head that gets you down. It gets you up. The swivel, you got to be careful because you start bumping into everything. I guess technically it's there. A little bit of confused lion face. Shoulders are actually pretty well done. I'm going to back out a taste. You get 90 degrees out. You get a butterfly forward. That's supposed to stay pegged in, but the joint is there. I say we give it to him. And you get 360 around. You also get a little bit of paint accents on the shoulder, which is nice. Bicep swivel. It's basically a joint at the bicep and a joint at the elbow, but using both in concert, you get beyond 90 degrees. Gold detailings look good on the black for the forearm, and then you have a wrist swivel. And you have fingers on a base pin knuckle. The thumb is on its own ball peg. The fingers themselves are individually articulated and at the base knuckle and a secondary knuckle. However, it still is a little strange. Not the worst, though. It's definitely, you can work around it, but it is a little bit strange. It also seems like you probably could have hid this dog paw a little bit better, but who am I to say, I suppose. All right. Other side, just like the previous. And then we have the waist, which is a swivel. And then you can also have this sort of gimmick where he shoots out this part, and then the legs can go and fight this enemy, and then this part can kind of just be like Ram Man from He-Man and just bump into something. We have gold on the chest, and then we have the translucent detailings, and then the white paint there, which actually does look sharp. Moving on to the hips, we'll back out, brush them. The hip skirts get out of the way, nice metallic red paint on the pelvis. Moving the hip skirts out of the way, you have universals. They're just tensioned, but they are tensioned well. They get out for the full Van Damme. They get forward and back for the full Monty. You get a thigh swivel. The knees are a single bend. They get you 90 degrees. We have a little bit of red accent there. Lots of gold and red paint on the calves. Once again, the majority of the line is sticking out. It seems like that could have been done a little bit more elegantly. Gold paint looks good. Red paint looks good. Ankles. You have an ankle tilt up. You have an ankle tilt down. You have a toe tilt. And you have a rocker. So that all works nicely. And he's quite clean. Whoa. A lot of parts forming elements to this, but we're not ready to get there yet. Parts forming, I mean, he has to split up and become some feet eventually, So it's not like we don't know he has to come apart. But very clean from the back, I would say. Let's do some size comparisons. Size comparison wise, I don't really have any Masterpiece IDW stuff. There would be some that I'd be interested in. It certainly wouldn't be Victory Leo. But that being said, there he is with X-Transbot's Trailbreaker, Starline, and Make Toys Jazz to give you an idea of his size. And I mean, he's a large bot, to be fair. All right, let's go ahead and get him transformed. So open up your hip skirts here. Just get everything out of the way. It'll make life a little bit easier. There is a panel here that needs to come open. There's a panel here that needs to come open, and this panel needs to come open. I don't know if that one does as well. Let's just go for it. Then this whole section rocks down and inside. Then you close back up and lock it back in. Then you can flip this one up there. Then we're going to spin the heel. We're going to spin the toe. And then we're going to spin the whole bloody foot. Then we're going to rock this up. I'm sorry, on this side. And you're looking to get, I think, that black peg there into this notch here. And then cover down on the back side. We'll do the same on the other side. Actually, I guess you can keep that hip skirt down. All right, so we're going to untap here. We're going to untap here, here. And I think on this side, I'm not sure if you need to do that or not, honestly. But let's do it anyway. Let's be safe, you know what I mean? And then we're going to disconnect the knee. Drop that down into this little chamber. Then close up our side flaps. Close up our back. And then close up this panel. We're going to spin the heel. We're going to spin the toe. We're going to spin the whole bloody foot. And at that point, we can come back around on this other side and use this little peg there to lock in. Bring the toe back around. I meant to close that up. and then connect there to solidify it. Now, as you can see, that's not much of a lion paw at all, is it? So let's fix that. Untab here, spin, disconnect your leg here, and then you just gotta kind of make it anatomically correct, right? So same on this side. God bless. Tight little fit there. Spin down. You can actually keep that joint bent. Make life a little easier for you. Rotate down, down, and that's that. So we'll close this up and we'll spin our waist. The hands are a lot easier, as you might expect. You can open up here, fold your fist in, close this back up, cover down with the paws, the dog paws. They actually plug in. I'm not going to waste too much time on that. Same on this side. Make a fist, check it twice, find out who's naughty, who's nice. Rotate this, get her in, close her back up, tab that one in. That one went much better. Make sure your shoulders are connected. Bring your guns back, and you can kind of sort them any number of different ways that you'd like. Bring the lion's head out, unfurl the main elements, if you know what I mean, and drop down the jaw. And I mean, that's basically it in a nutshell. I will get it cleaned up and we'll take a look at it. And there he is. We'll go ahead and get size comparisons right out of the way. There it is with Tiger Track. So huge unit. And let's take a look at the rest. So the articulation for the arm is the same as the robot arm. The only exception is the paw. Let's look at the other one because I still can't get that one tabbed in. It's on a ball peg, so you get ankle tilt up, down, and then a rocker as well, which is quite nice. The lion's head is the same as the robot's head. You just have to be mindful of the main spiky bits, and the jaw does articulate up and down. Wings work the same. The guns work the same. You can collapse them, like you can have them angled up like this. You can collapse them and have them sit a bit forward as well. Totally your preference. I think they look a little weird sitting that much further forward. Then we have the rear hips, which are on a universal of sorts here. So you get your rotation and you're out to the side. You get all these joints here, but they're really tight and I'm not comfortable messing with them. And then you get an ankle tilt up, down, and a rocker as well on a ball peg. So I mean, you know, as lions go, you know, not a bad one. You know, I think it's pretty cool. I like this lion though. It doesn't mean anything to me, and I don't have a Victory Leo or a Star Saber in my collection. I just don't really have any interest. I had one at one point. It didn't do anything for me, and I got rid of it. But aesthetically, I do kind of dig the design. All right, so now we're gonna take the dog paws and tuck them away, peg all that back together, and then rotate up and peg that back in. We're gonna repeat that over here. Up, plug in the paws, dog paws, rotate up, peg back in. And you can rotate the waist 180. Then collapse your forearm. This will come down. This male goes to that female, and this female goes to that male. So 1 and 2. So same thing on this side. Collapse the forearm. Collapse it a little bit more. And then... Oh, dude! Let's just... Everything's fine. No, nothing broke. Let's just move the backpack away for now. Maybe I was doing too much. You know? I can admit it. Maybe I was doing too much. All right, let's connect that. All right. And then we'll take our, let's see, it's like this now, right? And plug in. Plug in. You know, let's just work in smaller doses at the moment, shall we? All right, none the worse for wear, right? So we're gonna open up our chest and we're gonna take our head, we're gonna collapse the mane, and we're gonna rotate this down and just utilize all of the moving pieces. Boy. To get this head rotated inside of this chest cavity. I have completely undone the transformation on mine. But this piece will flip as well. And I think that's it. You know, roughly anyway. And then this piece comes up and pegs back into the chest. Their connections are right there, if you can see. And same on this side. And then down here at the, you want to bring these up, spin them so that you can collapse them together. And then spin them again. And then you want to rotate them. Where does this sit? Sit down. See, there's a number of hinges down here. But there's a little notch that it kind of slides right into once you have it aligned right. So, once again, spin, spin, collapse, spin, and then there's a series of hinges inside there, but it's just a tight connection, and then that goes there. And then I'll connect the backpack, we'll clean it up and take a look at it. And there you have it. And once again, I mean, I think it's fine. I feel like, there, I gotta align my hips a little bit more. It works well enough. You know, it's not the most complete thing, but it's supposed to combine with the other thing, right? There it is with Tiger Tracks. And then I'll show you how to transform it into, get ready for combine mode. Real quick, the only thing I didn't touch on that I want to do before we get transforming is these landing gear. They fold down from the knees and the chest. And they're a little tight of a connection to get to, so, you know, I have found with the knees, if you push down on the bottoms of the knees, that'll give you the kind of helpful hand to get those going. The chest, it's probably best just to use a spudger. But yeah, there you go. I've taken off the backpack so we don't repeat history, am I right? Let's take off the pelvis as well. And we're gonna disconnect these two sections. As you can see, that came apart as well. We'll just set those to the side. And we're also gonna separate these two. So now we have 4 pieces, 5 if you count the pelvis, 6 if you count the backpack. So what we need to do here is unplug this and spin it around to the opposite side and sit it flat. We need to open this. We need to kind of undo a lot of this. Flip this up. Then you can flip this up. That sits amongst that. And then you can spin your toe. That forms the front of the foot. Extend this. You want to tuck, this is a double hinge here. This peg, all this needs to sit flat. And it's not the easiest thing to do. So bend that in. There. There you go. Then rotate the hip up, and then there's this peg here that you want to flip up. And these just sit down for now. We're gonna do the combining in a different video. But just that's all you need to do now. For that one, just do the same thing on the other side. I don't feel like we need to show it again. Moving on to these pieces, remove the head, and then you kind of want to spin the top of your main 360. And then I think it sits something like this, but when we go to combine it, I'll be able to fine tune it a bit and give you a little bit more insight. I just have to orient myself to it, and I might have it a little cattywampus, but we'll get to it. And then you have this piece left. There's two of these. We're just going to show it once. Flip that piece up. Open up. Where is it? There. It's a tight little connection. Open that up. Open this up. And your paws, your dog paws, need to rotate in. But they need to rotate so that, like, it's hard to explain. I'm trying to, like, see how best to sort it. They need to rotate so that the bump out, this is a good way to do it. The bump out is on the opposite side of the black piece that folds up. And then that folds down, and then I forget, I think you have to rotate the paw sideways or something, but you know, we'll get there eventually. But then you have, you know, two of these pieces like this, and that's basically it. And that is sort of what you're left with, and that is ready for Star Saber, which we will get to next week, or maybe Friday. I can't commit, I just don't have the time, but very soon. So, I broke something on Patreon recently. I don't even think the video is up yet. So we're back to day one. And what else was I gonna say? Oh, I'll show a size comparison, by the way, with him with Star Saber in the combined video. I forgot to mention that as well. But yeah, we're back to square one. Unfortunately, didn't even make it out of, well, I guess we kind of, well, to be fair, today is the last day of January, so we didn't even make it out of January. Final thoughts wise, we'll start with the negatives. And negatives wise, I do feel like it could have stood a little bit more paint in a lot of those dry areas, particularly his thighs and calves. And his lower body doesn't have the same pizzazz as the upper body. The upper body isn't perfect either, though. I feel like the head sits a little too far to the front of the chest. It also is just proportionately huge. The face is kind of big, eyes are big, but the lips are kind of unpronounced, like a softer sculpt. That's all subjective, but it is how I feel about it. I also feel like his large rifle could be a little bit more user-friendly to utilize. The only other negatives that I would mention are there are a bit of tolerance, fit and finish kind of things, like I'm sure you heard specifically in the feet, squeaking of joints as you go to manipulate them and stuff, and that just makes for a bit of an unpleasant experience. There's a lot of like double and triple hinges and stuff, and that sometimes leads to like, man, do I have the right one? And then especially when those tolerances are then super tight, it just makes it more of a frustrating experience. Not the biggest deal in the world, but something worth mentioning, I believe. Positives wise, there is stuff to talk about. He does have a heck of a presence, namely due to the size, wings, large guns, etc. The paint that is applied well. The articulation works fairly well across the board, specifically for his size and bulk. There's a lot of presence here. The materials feel good. A large majority of the tolerances are finely tuned. I think the line mode looks good. Also, the transformation to get to it is fairly simple, easy, and intuitive for the most part. And then I think the jet mode is kind of fine. Transformation isn't as smooth, but it's still fine. And then the combined elements I don't really think are worth talking about until we get to the bot. So I'm gonna leave it there for now. I can recommend this on its own. In terms of combined mode, I will let you know as soon as I can. With that being said, thanks for listening, thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.